Kia ora koutou I te rangatahi, me te whānau o te rangatahi, mihi nui ki a tātou katoa. Ko imi te maunga, ko ngā toki mata whaurua te waka, ko ngā pui te iwi, ko te taho ai te marae, ko taho ai te hapū, no whangaroa hau. I tupu aki au ki te awa kairangi, I whānau mai au ki te awa kairangi, engari kei Porirua hau e noho ana I nai nei. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Kia ora. My name is Paora, and what I want to do today is just give you a bit of an insight into my journey into IT. And so what I basically said, for those that may not know, I grew up in Lower Hutt in a suburb called Nanai, and I went to school over in Lower Hutt, and throughout my schooling years was never too sure with what I wanted to do with life. I was quite troubled at school. In my household was only my mother, who was a single mother raising 3 children, and we were far from well off. And during school, I wasn't too keen on some of the subjects there, and I was had a lot of behaviour issues. I was in and out of class all the time, and it just wasn't a really nice place for me, school. And anyway, towards the end of school, the only thing that was really keeping me there was sport, and I actually was a member of the New Zealand water polo team as well, so was quite successful in that area, and I continued with that. And when I left school, wasn't too sure what I wanted to get into, and the sporting stuff sort of dropped off, and I managed to find my way into a career in concrete and landscaping. And it wasn't particularly something that I wanted to do, but for me it was a job, and that's what I was most happy about, was that I was working, making my own money and those sorts of things. And I carried on in that role, and then moved into another role as a machine operator. I was driving diggers at a local scrapyard, and again, just didn't really feel like I was happy with where I was and what I was doing. So at this time, a lot of people were travelling over to Australia and trying out different things abroad, and I took my boarding pass and I did the same thing. I landed over there not really sure what I wanted to get into, but found myself into another role in the security industry, working at a nightclub in the Gold Coast, and I was there for a couple of years, and although it was exciting and all of those things, I got to a certain point in my life where I just really missed home. I missed my whānau. I'd been away from him from a couple of years and hadn't returned back here, so decided to come back. And so I came back home, not really sure of what I was going to do next, and to be honest, I just felt a little bit lost. I had lost a lot of drive and purpose in my life, and actually went down a dark hole where I turned to alcohol and drugs to cope with where I was at in life. I was so disappointed with where I was, and I wasn't getting anywhere, and I spiraled down this deep dark hole, and found myself hanging out with people that I shouldn't have been, and ended up in full-blown addiction, and couldn't really see a way out. I pushed all my family and loved ones away, and I was at a rock bottom. I can't even describe how lonely and cold that place is, but I know there's people out there that can probably relate to that. But it wasn't until I was at a family gathering, and my sister, who I hadn't seen for a while, sat down with me, and she could see that things weren't too, that I wasn't travelling too well and all of those things. So she actually asked me, she said, "Paora, what's troubling you? What's wrong?" And I just said, "Oh, sis, I'm I'm just disappointed with where my life's going. You know, I've never found anything that I'm good at. You know, I'm just, you know, I'm a drug addict. You know, like I'm always in trouble with the law and all of these things. My life's just going nowhere. And she said, well, that's not who you are. She said, where do your passions lie? And I thought about it for a second, and I was like, oh, I don't know. She goes, well, what do you love doing? And I said, well, I guess growing up I've always fixed people's computers, I've always set up people's Wi-Fi networks and stuff like that, but I never thought it would be possible that I could have a job in that. And come on, sis, no one's going to hire me. Look at my background. Like, I can't do that stuff. I'm not smart enough. And she said, well, what have you got to lose? Good question. And so I said to myself, what do I have to lose? For so long I've run on my will, and look where that's gotten me. Why don't I just try something new? So I did. I actually joined a bunch of different communities that support people that have addiction problems, and managed to get myself on the straight and narrow in that regard. And those people in that community supported me, they believed in me, and they toe-talked me into wanting to better my life, and they recommended that I go for a job in tech, because that's where my passions lie. And I was like, okay. So I looked online and found a diploma in IT that was going at Welltech. And although I still felt like, you know, I wasn't smart enough and all of those things, I just would remember back to what my sister said, and that's, what have I got to lose? So I enrolled and begun this diploma in IT at Welltech, and I, right from the get-go, I was just so happy with what I was doing. I wasn't sure what to expect, but I guess going in there, in the diploma of IT, we got to feel a wide range of different areas of technology, including server management, hardware, database management, game development, soft skills, including like communication and stuff like that. And you know, this was all new to me, but it was all exciting, and I was just happy to be where I was. And I continued on, and throughout the year on that diploma, and in the end graduated. And at the end of my graduation, two of my tutors, a tutor came up to me and actually offered 2 job roles that were going, and said, you should go for it, we'll put your name forward and we'll refer you. And so I did. One of the places that I had a job interview with was a learning institute, and it was actually doing work in the back end of their learning platform, a Moodle platform. And you know, I was keen, but I sort of wanted to check out what this other role was that was going. And that role was at IT Works, which is a managed service provider in Lower Hutt. And this is where I currently work now. But going into that interview, I was nervous as, didn't know what to expect, but I put my best foot forward and managed to get a 90-day trial with them. And so I began the 90-day trial, and at first I was out in the back room, like almost like a dungeon, and I was just given a big pile of these laptops to configure and pull apart and upgrade, and that's what I did. And I was just so happy to be there. You know, like I really felt like I was living in this dream, because for so long, like, I didn't think that I could get into that industry just because of where I came from and the background that I had. But I was so wrong. Anyway, this company supported me, and they saw the hard work that I was putting in. But just before the end of my 90 days, I was brought into the one of the meeting rooms, and I sat up there with the manager and the owner of the company. And obviously, a bit of digging had been done, and they picked up some of my old history, you know, and I just felt my heart sink, you know, back towards that where I was, and I was just like, oh, here goes my boarding pass. Might as well pack my box. I'm about to leave, and I was wrong. So they had asked me, hey, Paora, we just want you to be transparent with us. A couple of things have come up. Do you want to elaborate on maybe some of those things? And so everything that I've just told you leading up to now, I put out on the table to my employers, everything. And, you know, although I was doing that, I thought, here it goes. And the answer that I got from them was, cool, awesome. We're happy that you are transparent with us. We love the work that you do here, and we want to keep you on. What? You know, like these, I just felt so much love from my employer, and they become one of those people that, just like my sister, they cared about me. Just like those community groups, they cared about me. They were willing to support me when no one else was. So, since then, I've been there about nearly 3 years, and a year ago, from the back dungeon, managed to migrate myself to the service desk, where I was managing phone calls from a bunch of clients, troubleshooting their issues remotely, consulting with them, giving them, you know, best advice on technical solutions and all of those things. And a year ago, got promoted into a team leader role, which like I said, I still feel like I'm living in this dream. And even just last week, I was given some more news on a future promotion that's in the pipeworks into a managerial role within the company. You know, so I haven't even been in the tech industry for 3 years, but I love where I am. I've put my best foot forward, and I've got this drive in me that comes from the hard times that I had back then. They are what's kept this fire burning within me, and I just love the tech industry that I'm in. It's so awesome to work at an MSP as well. It's a managed service provider. So for those of you that don't know what that is, a managed service provider is there when a company maybe doesn't have enough funding to have their own internal IT team. They can outsource that to an MSP. So we manage the IT services and give support for a number of different customers, including many of the industries that you see around here today, including the healthcare industry, the finance industry, government industries, and so many more. And the best part about where I work is we get to have hands-on on so many different domains within the tech industry. You know, it's not just troubleshooting people's problems. We're actually procuring new IT equipment for them. We're delivering that equipment to them. We have a support desk that operates 8 to 5, but also 24/7 as well, if need be. And we provide tech support for printers. We do on-site stuff for networking. Like, I could just go on and on with the amount of different work that we do in where I work. But ultimately, what I'm just trying to say, why I'm telling you this journey is because I want you to take away a couple of things, and that's find those that are around you that are willing to support you when no one else is. They're far and few between, but they are out there. And I'm talking about the likes of my sister. I'm talking about the likes of the community groups that many are around today as well. Like, if you feel like you don't have what it takes to get into something, don't listen to yourself. Get out of the way of yourself. You're your own biggest obstacle that's standing in the way of reaching your goals. So step out of your way, and I'll finish up on this note, is that find where your passions lie, wherever that may be. It may be in the tech sector, it may be in other industries, but whatever it is that excites you, whatever it is that you feel passionate about, figure out how you can turn that into a career and go for it. Because I tell you one thing, if you find that career and you get into that career, you will never work a day in your life. Ngā mihi nui kia tātou katoa.